Hey everybody, welcome to Musicians Musings. This is the place where we learn, reflect, grow, and just have fun as musicians in ministry. I'm Zeke.
And I'm Zay.
Welcome to helpful apps and websites we have found for musicians.
And just a side note, it's not just for musicians. I also have stuff for sound and basically just sound. There's a little bit out there for singers that I have, but mainly sound. All right, jumping straight into this, before we get into the topic, I want to apologize for my ADHD. It happened last episode, and Zeke was making fun of me after we got off the mics. We had said, or I had said rather, we were going to jump into some fun statistics from our last episode, and I forgot.
Completely. Never mentioned it.
At all. So before we get any further and my ADHD kicks in again, let's go over some of those statistics. I don't know if you looked recently at these. So the very first week we had published anything was the tuning in, the start of Musicians Musings. The very first, it was a 5-minute trailer. We had roughly 40 downloads on that. I think the exact number was 35.
35, 38, something like that.
And we had one listener on that episode from Poland.
Shout out to him or her, whoever you are. Thank you. You're awesome.
Mainly in the US, but we had one in Poland. On this past one, Beyond the Sunday Service, where we talked about practicing, not just being a time for practice and learning, but also for worship. We had several downloads. We had a total of 29 downloads on that.
Which is pretty good.
It's pretty good. 28 in the US and one over in Germany this time.
Yeah, shout out to you too.
Maybe it's the same guy. Maybe he's going back and forth. I mean, Poland and Germany are kind of close, aren't they?
I think so. I don't know.
I think they are. So a total of 61 roughly 61 downloads over those last two. So shout out to all of you guys who are listening, subscribed. We appreciate you guys tremendously.
And I don't know if we've got any questions or ideas, but we do appreciate it if you would send those in. Any suggestions for the podcast, we would also appreciate.
I've looked. I haven't seen any comments on some of the platforms or reviews on some of the others. And it could just be because we're new at this and still learning. So if you have...
Give us time.
We'll figure it out. We're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen. We will figure it out one way or the other of how to look at those comments and reviews. But the best way you can support this so we can keep doing this is like and subscribe. Give us a 4-star rating. We'd appreciate that. It helps the algorithms get this out where others can hear it too. I don't know if you wanted to add to that at all. You know a little bit more about that than I do.
I think he covered everything.
Okay. Good. Was there anything I was missing there? Before we jump into helpful apps and websites?
I don't think so. I think we got everything. Let us know if it sounds better.
We spent about an hour before recording this episode trying to do different things. We finally got, I think, it sounding better at least. So if you go back to the other 2 episodes, you'll notice we were splitting it between your left and right speakers.
Which might be annoying.
That's how we were recording.
We found how to make it come out of both speakers for both mics.
Yeah. So I think we got it. Let us know if it sounds better or not. I'm trying to think if anything we need to cover before going into this topic.
I think we're good.
Okay. So let's jump straight in. Helpful apps and websites. So why don't you start with what you got? I think I have a lot more than you do.
So
we might have some of the same stuff.
The main thing that I focus on is guitar. So I haven't really tried to find websites or apps or anything for anything else. But I know I found...
And I just want to interject this too. Some of these I was doing on research. I have not tested all of these. So if you go on and whether as a musician or an audio person, let us know. how it works for you. I went on and kind of did a brief survey of it myself to see if it was even worth mentioning. So let us know how some of these are, and I'll kind of let you know what I have that I haven't tested.
But I'm I'm gonna kind of say three for guitar. One of them is kind of for everybody, but number one I'm gonna say for guitar is the app. It's called Fretzel. Fretzl.
What does that do? It's a fun name.
So Fretzel teaches you. You start out with notes and intervals is the two things it gives you, and then you go through and then you learn stuff. So like if you're kind of experienced, you're like intermediate, you know your notes on the lower part of your fretboard, it's going to be tedious, but still do it because nothing review never hurts you.
That's true.
But that is a great app. It teaches you notes at first, and then you go into intervals, which I haven't really done anything on, so that was kind of cool. The next two categories are chords and inversions, where it teaches you chords and then inversions for those chords. And then it gets into like arpeggios and really advanced stuff. Number two I'll go with is a website. It is called Guitario. Unfortunately, you do have to pay for it, and it is a little bit expensive, if I remember right.
And as we are apostolics, I will want to mention this is not an apostolic source. It is good material, but
honestly, from what I remember, there's no worldly songs on there. The guy who teaches it, his name is Nate Savage, and he produces what's called jam tracks, which he just like recorded a drum and then he recorded his guitar in it, and then it's just like something you can practice what you learned in that lesson too. That's what I originally started on for guitar, so I really like that one. And then the last thing I'm going to mention is, like, for everybody, like I said, it was Chordify, which I'm sure Zay might talk about this a little bit later.
I don't have it on my stuff. We can definitely talk about it though.
Chordify, I really like Chordify. I just discovered it. They do have where you can pay for it and get unlimited songs, but I'm cheap, so I'm on the free plan. But basically any song you can find on YouTube, it will give you the chords and timing for, and then let you play it with the song.
And I will say, for those of you who play by ear, we play a little bit here by ear, not a whole bunch. I will say it's not always 100% accurate.
But that's a great way to train your ear.
It's
for
a great
the most
way.
part, it is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
For the most part. I really like Chordify, and I've been doing a lot of Fretzel, it's pretty fun. I don't know what you have for whatever you have.
Okay. So let's start off with some general stuff. I know, like, Chordify, you have it. I usually think of it as piano, but you can use it for guitar or bass, whatever. On Ultimate Guitar Tabs, they have a bass section. I don't know if you know this, but it's called Bass Tabs.
I didn't know that.
And so it helps you, bass players out there. So if you have a song you're trying to learn and you just want like a rough chord chart, this would give you a good idea of what to play. I glanced at this when I was doing my research. I didn't know until I was doing the research. So just shout out to them. A couple of good apostolic places. One, UPCI Music Ministries. Shout out to them.
You do pay for it, but it is well worth it.
I think it's like a yearly membership.
Yeah. And it is like you can go back and buy previous years, which we did.
We did for a couple. I think we got 2017, and then 19. We didn't do 2018, but from 2019 all the way up till the present year, we have them.
Yeah.
And it covers organ on some years, piano, aux, guitar, bass,
aux, guitar, drums. Bass, drums, singers for all different parts. And it does sound and media.
It also has song tutorials. It doesn't just have lessons, but it'll break down like songs that are like coming out or have come out that are like,
I feel like
current.
Most of the stuff on UPCI Music Ministry is just song tutorials. You can find the lessons, but like they're further back in years. But the song tutorials really help if If you're not really good at playing by ear, or you want to check your ear, they show you what the original guitar player does, or piano, drums, bass, I don't know.
Yeah, and I would say this is more like if you're intermediate or advanced. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't start at UPCI. Like, it's a great way to advance, but it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
If you're a beginner, Richard Smith with Apostolic Praise School of Music, he's very good with the beginner stuff, but then he has a more advanced stuff on like piano and anything keys. He does have some good stuff on drums, bass, and guitar.
Yeah. So I think he has all four, right? Drums, bass, guitar, piano.
Yeah. As to my knowledge, he plays everything.
Which I think that's a fantastic place to start too.
Yeah. So if you're just looking to start out playing, I would start with Apostolic Praise School of Music, especially if it's piano. He's one of the best piano players that I've heard. Very good. So there's that. Just a couple of good apostolic places you can start with. Drums, another good drum place. Again, this is not apostolic, but Drumeo. Or if you're in piano, you could do Piano Note. That's Pianote. So that's good. They have one for singers. I don't remember what it's called. If you look up Mizora, I don't remember how to spell it. I'd have to look it up. But it has drums, guitar, piano, and the singer one all in like one app, one subscription. So if you want to check that out, great place. Again, not apostolic, but it has really good material there that we've both used.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so let's start with audio engineering. Some of the apps and websites I found.
Which I
shout out to Nate Mead. He was the one who trained me on a lot of the stuff that I have learned for audio. So shout out to him. I got this app from him called QuizTones. If you know me, I like to play the Mosquito song, which basically is a bunch of random pitches at different hertz.
He thinks it's hilarious to call it the Mosquito song, but it's really not.
But this is that app. So then you can train your ear on different pitches, your EQ, changes in gain, which helps you in a live setting application. Let's say like in a service, whether that's in a worship service or you're helping with the preaching part of that, you can hear little changes with the EQ or something that most people maybe not be able to hear, but it helps with the recording part of that if you're doing live streams or podcasting for it.
From my understanding, if you're going to be mixing, you need to be able to hear those little changes.
At least to some level, yes. And so that's a good way. Here's another one. Sonic Visualizer is what it's called. It has spectrum analysis and visualization. From what I looked at, and I haven't tried this myself yet, I probably will at some point, but like it's a website or an app. I think it's a website that you pull up and it analyzes what's going on in your room. It kind of gives you like, okay, here's what's happening with the sound. So that was cool. Another good one is musicguymixing.com. All one word, all lowercase, Music Guy Mixing. It has some suggestions and examples of how to EQ and mix things, including some of the hard stuff like particular drums or vocals. Very good stuff that I was looking at. I usually help with more of the vocal side with preaching than I do worship because I'm usually playing. But it looks to be a very solid, phenomenal source. And then, so here's one, ear training and mixing practice. Not just, and some of these will help with various instruments too, not just with audio. We're still going with the audio for the next couple minutes probably. I already mentioned QuizTones. And then you have Train Your Ears EQ Edition. Helps with the frequency recognition and EQ training, which again, the QuizTones covers this part too. Then you have Sound Gym. I think it has a website. I know it has a website, but I think it has an app too. This was very good. It has games and stuff to interact with. It was very fun when I was starting out. It's online ear training and mixing exercises, so that was fun. Here's a couple of apps we found in the last couple of weeks to help us with our ear training with music. There's one called Hearing. Mm-hmm. You can find this on the App Store. We both have Apple. Hearing, and then the other is Perfect Ear. Both of those were fun. I would say if you are a singer and you see like, oh, you can sing these notes and see if it's right. We tried it. Mainly Zeke tried it because I can't sing at all. And we know he was hitting the right notes, but it was like, it's completely off.
Yeah.
So just be aware if you're a singer, sometimes it says you're off.
And I actually did forget to mention like 3 apps.
Oh, go ahead.
So, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Another one for guitar. The name of it is kind of weird. It's a GTR LIB chords. And basically, it goes over every possible chord you can find on the guitar neck, whatever you need. That one's really nice if I'm trying to play like acoustic or just more chordy stuff.
Yeah, and for both guitar and bass, I want to throw this out. I was going to mention it for bass, but since we're kind of jumping back and forth here, there's an app called Fretboard Trainer, and you can memorize the fretboard very quickly and easily, all your notes going up and down, both the strings and then the actual position on the neck of either your guitar or bass. So I want to throw that out there, both iOS and Android. Sorry, I interrupted you.
One of the other apps that we found that I think we kind of forgot about is AutoKey.
Oh, 100%. AutoKey is awesome.
It isn't like 112% accurate, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to be 100%.
So what AutoKey does, you might have seen us pull this out if you hang out with us at like Camp Shiloh, is what it used to be called. This year it's Camp Clesis, I think is what it is.
Whatever it is.
Something along those lines. If we're jamming or something, we don't know what the key the other person's in. It gives us a good idea.
Or any song in general. Like
Yeah.
You just pull it out and you hit go, and it gives you very close. It'll give you the major and the minor key, but it'll highlight whichever one it's wrote in.
Yeah.
That one's really good. And then going back to ear training, I use the app called Ear Training. Like that's literally what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
It has an eighth note on the cover of the app, but that's really good for ear training in notes, chords, intervals, scales, chord progressions, and scale degrees.
Yeah. So gonna jump quickly into bass and drums. I have a lot more for drums than I do bass, just FYI, because I don't play bass that often, like hardly at all. So going with bass real quick, you have Scott's Bass Lessons, as you can find this on YouTube, or I think he has a website too. That's really good, very educational, showing you how to do stuff when it comes to bass, whether that's changing out your strings, which is relatively simple, but it helps. He has some lessons on how to do things on bass, like slap bass and stuff, so that was good. Here's another one. It's called Talking Bass, all one word. It's a free and paid. You can either do free or paid bass lessons covering technique, theory, and exercises. Once again, I have not tried this, but if you do, hopefully it works for you. It looked legit when I was looking around and researching it. Like, it looked like it was going to be really good. Already covered the bass tabs. Let's go with metronome and rhythm tools. Personally, I use the metronome app called Click.
Yeah, I use that one too.
That one's awesome, but you can also have Pro Metronome, and then Pro Metronome, everyone knows that one. Highly customizable. I
feel like everybody knows Metro Timer too.
Here's another one. I hadn't heard of this one. It's called The Metronome. The Metronome by Soundbrenner. It's supposed to be really good. I haven't tried it. I know if you don't like the normal sound of a metronome, like almost the computerized click, they do have apps out there where you can customize the sound to be like a dog barking or a cat meowing or whatever you want.
Or a guy counting. I know that's
Which,
out there.
Like the vocal count, like that's helpful in some cases.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want a dog barking or something. Like you can customize it to be what Chihuahuas
Maybe
or like
just
a
like
German Shepherd.
Changing it up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Whatever. So that's good. On drums, and I've been using some of these apps for a while. If I'm looking to learn a song, there's 2 apps I use, and you can use these whether you're piano or guitar or bass or whatever. I use them for drums. Number 1 is Moises. For those of you who don't know what Moises is, you can drop any song into it.
As long as you buy it,
or you can screen record it from YouTube and then drop it in as a video. It converts it, it analyzes it using AI technology, breaking out vocals, bass, guitar, whatever you want.
but
I pay a yearly subscription.
yeah,
There is a free version where you are able to upload like 4 or 5 a month.
5 a month, but when you're dragging it out as piano, guitar, or bass, for the free version, you get like one option.
Yeah.
For the
I
pay version,
I
you
have
get
like the
unlimited.
next grade up from the free version, so I don't have any limit on how many a month I can do. They just released a couple new ones to where like it'll do like individual drums,
Which I think that's kind of pointless, honestly.
but you have like, first of all, it's pretty. You can hear it pretty well. Well, let's say you do that, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
I looked at that.
Yeah, sure.
But so I do that, and then you can either isolate it or you can take out your instrument and then practice without it. If you're a vocalist, you can take out the vocals completely or just turn them down or turn them up if you're trying to learn a part. Isolate that. So I use that a lot. Another one
that we both use that he's getting ready to talk about, but I'm going to jump ahead of him, is called, wait, hold on.
The Amazing Slower Downer app.
Is that really what it's called? No, it's not. It's called the Amazing Slow Downer.
Oh, whatever.
Which I know it's really weird wording, but the app does cost $5, but that's a one-time
Is it 5 or 15?
It's 5. I paid 5. I don't know what you paid.
I have several different apps I paid for, so it's possible I'm just...
It's a one-time fee that I paid $5 for, but it allows you to... You don't have to import a song per se. So for
you have like
Apple
Music, I think it is Spotify.
Yeah.
Or it has a couple other platforms it allows, but...
Mm-hmm. But you drop anything in there, and then you can adjust the speed, which helps for like fast runs. I worked on a song for like 3 months.
And you can loop a section. You can loop just like a small section. So if it's like a super gospel set, like let's say Breakout,
yeah,
there's several parts you can do, just looping it back and forth and just playing that part over and over at different speeds.
But if you drop in a bot song or a song that you have bought or a video, you can actually change the pitch, which I don't know, isn't really...
I'm going to kind of cut you off. I don't know how far we're going because this app we use only goes in like musical bars at 120 beats a minute, and we're at 700, which I think is about 20 minutes-ish.
Okay. So
we're just kind of breeze through here, kind of go over a couple quick other ones for drums. If you do tuning, I use iDrum Tune Pro. It's either $5 or $15, and it's very worth it. You can go around individual lugs, do that, musical notes, making sure all your toms and stuff are in the same key, which is very helpful. Makes it sound uniform, a lot better. Another one for drum practice is Drum Coach. They have an app. I think they have a website too. They have one for guitar. That's very good. It covers different genres of music, which as apostolic, you need to know a little bit of everything. But it also covers technique, different rudiments and stuff. So that's very helpful as well. Do you have anything more? I think I saw your face lit up for a second.
No, that's all the apps and websites that I use and I have.
Okay.
Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you can use some of this stuff. And if you have apps or websites that we didn't mention or we don't know about, drop it to us. We love finding new stuff for...
Yeah, drop that down in the comments. Write a review for us. We'd love to hear your feedback on different apps and websites maybe you use or maybe other episodes you want to hear about. My ADHD brain is going back for just a second. I know last time we had mentioned we want to release one episode every week, Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock. For the next couple weeks, it might vary on time and day because we are like remodeling a little bit on another house we're doing.
Yeah.
We both have school and jobs.
So we're going to try to release it by Sunday morning at 9.
But it might be later Sunday or
Right.
possibly Monday when it gets released for the next couple weeks until we find like what time works for us to get together and record and stuff. So just FYI on that, we are working on getting either ahead or a good solid time to record. But anyway, join us next week on Musicians Musings for an episode about overplaying. What is overplaying? How can you avoid it? Just kind of going all out into overplaying.
And we hope you have a good rest of your day.